Hello, my name is Donna, and I would like to share the story of my life, a journey marked by pain, regret, and ultimately, transformation in Christ. It all began when I was just 16 years old. Back then, life seemed simple and full of possibilities. One day, my friend invited me to go to a bowling alley, and there we met two guys. She became interested in one of them, and after some time, suggested that we go out for a drive with them. Before leaving the house, my grandmother, a woman of faith and wisdom, gently warned me, "Do not leave the bowling alley without permission, unless your friend's parents come to pick you up." Her words, filled with care, echoed in my mind, but in the moment, I chose to ignore them. My friend was excited about the idea of going out with the guy, and after much persuasion, I finally gave in to the pressure. We left the bowling alley and headed to a place where the guy needed to pick up his truck. During the drive, my heart was uneasy, but I went along with it. When we arrived, my friend got out and told me to stay in the car with the other guy. She insisted that everything would be fine, and that he would take me back safely, but that's not what happened. The guy drove to an isolated place, and it was there, in that moment, that my life changed forever. He attacked me and did things that I could never have imagined or allowed. I felt a deep pain, both physical and emotional. When he was done, he simply left me on the side of the road, alone, hurt, and devastated. I walked back to the bowling alley, each step feeling like an unbearable weight. When I finally arrived, I found my friend and the other guy, as if nothing had happened. I walked in crying, with my body wounded and my soul shattered. My friend, not believing what I was saying, insisted that everything had been consensual, leaving me even more alone in my pain. Before leaving, the guy threatened me, saying that no one would believe me and that I would be blamed for everything, especially by my grandmother. His words haunted me for a long time, bringing even more guilt and fear. When I got home, I tried to hide what had happened. I took a long shower, trying to wash away the pain, the fear, and the guilt I felt for disobeying my grandmother. I buried it all deep inside me, trying to move on, but the wound was there, deep and open. A few weeks passed, and I found out I was pregnant. The news hit me like an even harder blow. I was already 25 weeks along when I was taken to a clinic, where they told me I was just removing a clump of cells. In my innocence and desperation, I believed them, but the reality was much darker. When I had to give birth, a devastating image was burned into my mind forever. The baby, still so small, was there, in a jar. That moment completely destroyed me. From then on, I lost all will to live, spiraling into self-destruction. I tried to hurt myself several times, hoping to ease the pain that consumed my heart, but I couldn't even do that right. In the midst of that abyss, when it seemed like there was no way out, I found an old Bible that had been kept at my grandparents' house. Desperate, I began to read it, seeking some relief for my soul. It was then that I came across a passage that changed everything. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11, verse 28. These words pierced my heart in a way I had never experienced before. I cried like never before, feeling for the first time in years a small flame of hope. From that moment on, I began to seek more about Jesus, about his love and his promise of forgiveness. I found a church where I was welcomed and loved, and there, amidst tears and prayers, I gave my life to Christ. I felt that he forgave me, freed me from the burden of guilt, and gave me a new chance at life. Today, looking back, I see that Christ turned my pain into a story of redemption. He restored me, gave me a new identity as a daughter of God, and above all, showed me that, even in the deepest darkness, his light can shine and guide us back to the path of life. Shortly after giving my life to Christ, my journey was still marked by uncertainties and unhealed wounds. I ended up getting pregnant again. At that stage, my life was in turmoil, and I felt lost, without direction or purpose. I made the same mistake as before, and decided to have another procedure. The moment the machine was turned on, something inside me broke. Desperation took over my heart, and I began to scream, begging them to stop. But it was already too late. Once again, pain and regret overwhelmed me, and the guilt felt like an unbearable weight. The years went by, and gradually, God began to guide me on a path of healing and restoration. In a quest for reconciliation, I reached out to the father of the second baby. At first, I didn't know how he would react, but surprisingly, God restored our friendship. It was an important step toward healing my heart. Life went on, and amidst all this, I ended up getting pregnant for the third time. At that moment, I felt completely directionless, without purpose or motivation to continue. That's when I decided to seek help at a home for pregnant young women. There, in that place, God began to work a deep transformation in me. Through the support and prayers I received, I started to see a new purpose for my life. I decided that this time, I would keep the baby. In 2011, feeling that it was time to seek more healing, I went back to talk to the father of the second baby. That conversation, filled with honesty and forgiveness, brought more relief and healing to our relationship. After that moment, I returned to my hometown, where I had the opportunity to share my story at a pro-life event in the center of the city. The courage to speak about what I went through was a milestone in my healing journey. Later, I also shared my story at my church, feeling that somehow, God was using my pain to touch other lives. A week later, I went to another city where I participated in a worship service. Something special happened that day. Sitting on a couch with my eyes closed, I was worshiping God with all my heart. Suddenly, I was transported to heaven. I saw myself sitting on a park bench, but this bench was unlike anything I had ever seen before. It was made of golden details, indescribably beautiful. Then, out of nowhere, a little girl and a little boy came running towards me. They climbed onto my lap and started kissing me, and with sweet and tender voices they said, "We forgive you, Mommy. We love you, and we'll see you again." It was a transcendent moment where I felt God's love and forgiveness in a way I had never experienced before. When I returned to the couch, I could still feel their kisses on my cheeks, and my heart was filled with peace. If you, who are listening to this, are a woman who has gone through something similar, I want you to know that you are not alone. If you had an abortion and carry the weight of that decision, I want you to know that Jesus wants to bring you healing and restoration. Your babies are in his arms, being cared for with all the love. They are in heaven, part of the great cloud of witnesses, praying for you. And they love you and forgive you. I pray that the Lord heals every wound in your heart, removes all shame, and clothes you in a robe of righteousness. One day, you will meet your babies again in heaven, and until then, may you live with the peace that only Christ can give. Now that we have shared this journey of pain, redemption, and transformative love, I invite you to reflect. What wounds in your life still need healing? Are you willing to allow God's love and forgiveness to transform your heart and your story? I also ask, when was the last time you allowed yourself to be truly vulnerable with someone about your struggles? And what if today was the day to take that step towards emotional and spiritual freedom? I encourage you not just to listen to this story, but to make it a starting point for your own healing journey. And if you need support, seek out a community that can walk alongside you. You don't have to walk alone. If you resonated with this story and want to keep learning and being inspired about how to live a full and redeemed life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We have many other testimonies and reflections that can deeply touch your life and encourage you to live a new beginning.
That's how I planned to do it. I prepared everything so that the cell would be left unlocked. I remember that day as if it were yesterday. Everyone was out for breakfast, moving in line to get their food, and when everyone returned to their cells, it was time to lock up. But my cell was prepared in such a way that it would close, but not lock. And then, when he finally did his last round, I would go out and hang myself. I had everything ready. I was sitting on my bunk, just contemplating, visualizing in my mind. But I felt that something inside me just wasn't convinced. I had nothing on my mind, just felt inside that there had to be another way. I don't know where it came from at that time, but I swear, the moment I said that, I heard the voice of God in my cell saying, "Try with me."
If you felt moved by this testimony and want to watch this story and more stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Here, we share powerful experiences that can transform lives and strengthen faith. click the subscribe button, activate the notification bell to receive updates, and join our community of faith and hope.